Hello. So, if you have ever felt exhausted at work, if you ever felt cynical about your job and just full on negative about work, and if you felt that at some point you're losing your effectiveness and productivity at work, this episode is for you. We're going to be talking today about a challenge that, in fact, World Health Organization named for several years in a row now as one of the epidemics that we're dealing with, and that is burnout at work. So, episode 9 today, we're going to talk about the impact of burnout on our health and well being. Yvonne, tell us a bit more about it.
Elena, I must say that this topic is particularly important for us because it's rooted in the purpose of what we do in Bessern, helping people in terms of productivity and managing their well-being. And also it's rooted in our personal experiences. That's why it is so important and impactful for us to talk about this. We commonly use the term burnout to describe like a state of exhaustion, suffer from overworking. But it's not totally true, in fact. It occurs often when we find ourselves taken over by the internal demands, protests against all of the demands coming from different sides of work, from within ourselves or from outside. When there is a momentary resistance to do simple things, where it becomes as simple as becoming an ongoing state of mind, this resistance. Burnout, in fact, is not something new. Became recognized as a diagnosis in 1974 by a German-American psychologist called Herbert Freudenberger, who applied the term to the increasing number of cases he encountered of physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. And this is the key word, stress. The relationship to stress and anxiety is crucial because it distinguishes burnout from simple exhaustion. It's not like just being tired. When you do something you love, like let's say a hobby, a task that has a purpose, or you run a marathon, you feel tired, of course, you experience it, and then you have this deep feeling of satisfaction, in fact, feelings that confirm that you have discharged, unloaded your duty for at least the remainder of the day. The exhaustion experience in burnout combines an intense type of nostalgia for this state of completion. It's like you feel like you are never finished, while you're still feeling this burning sense that cannot be attained, that there is always some demand or distraction which cannot be avoided. You feel burnout when you have exhausted all your internal resources and you cannot stop this nervous compulsion to go on despite of feeling completely tired. Some frequent symptoms are the chronic indecision, as of all the possibilities and choices work or life confronts you with, will not have an impact on the remaining of the day, leaving you only this feeling of being irritated with yourself. So what can we do? In fact, Elena, what do you think we should be doing in order to prevent or to recognize these early signs of burnout?
Yeah, so there's three simple things I think we can all do, even starting today. So number one thing I think is to first of all recognize some of these symptoms for yourself and perhaps speak up in your organization and maybe talk to that senior manager, right? So having the sort of courage to speak up and say this is what I'm going through, and get that support. Of course, that would depend on how much you trust your organization, how open they are to having these conversations, which is a whole different topic on its own. But number one is speaking up about it. Number two, of course, managing the best that you can. And this is finding a way to disconnect so that your brain is disconnected from the ongoing conversations and work-related tasks and thoughts, to just take a moment or several moments, right? Maybe a period of time to just disconnect. That can look like just going off and turning off your phone for the rest of the day or on weekends. right? Especially if you have a work phone. It could look like going to the gym for many of us, right? Going to the gym when you're, focusing on the exercise, oftentimes we don't have time to think about anything else. Doing challenging activities like stand-up paddleboarding, for example. I mean, have you ever tried stand-up paddleboarding? You cannot
I
think about
haven't.
anything. You cannot think about anything. You're just worried about not falling off. Going swimming, reading, whatever it is for you. So that's the responsibility you have, is to find that out, but disconnect, get your brain to stop going at the pace of work, essentially. And the third option, which I think many people don't see it as an option, but it is an option, is to simply quit. Of course, strategically and planning for it, but quitting what you're doing, if it's causing you that much pain and challenges, that means that it could be that the job is giving you that much anxiety and that much drainage of your energy. And sometimes just, saying it's time to quit and move on and make a plan to get there is the only solution. And we see this quite often with individuals that we work with. So it's these three things. I say try the first two first. If that doesn't work, then maybe third one is an option.
Elena, I think that you have pinpointed something that is quite radical, but is quite effective in order to avoid burnout. So what we understand about burnout is it's almost like a mismatch between what you are, the values that you have. Is very human, in fact, to want to have the control of your life. And when there is this lack of control in terms of the amount of things that are coming, bombarding, and your brain doesn't have the time to recharge, then there is a moment to consider this option of quitting. And people, we don't have, and that includes me, we don't have the courage sometimes to say no to this, because we have the financial pressure and so on. But while stress is something that is quite positive, to have a little bit of stress every day and to be able to recharge and have another challenge the next day, and this is positive. Burnout is something constant. And in fact, you never get rid of it. You will never. Every single day will be a constant challenge to deal with your mental state. Years, months after you are feeling the symptoms, the early symptoms of burnout, you still have to carry on, and it's still a constant fight with yourself. So this is the moment to start rethinking about what we really want for our future life. It was amazing.
Burnout is a thing, and there's ways to deal with it. It's a real thing. Absolutely.
Elena, it was lovely to speak with you again. So next week, another topic. Hopefully we see you again.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.